Alrighty. Well, I come across something fairly reasonably short time ago. Something that I've understood for quite a while, involving this whole Supreme Court judge business. I don't need to explain who Christine Ford is, but I was sort of surprised to realise, or to find out a couple of things. Her psychologist. Yeah. Her psychologist has used some pseudoscientific method that's basically, it's something I heard about years ago in this country. It's a very dangerous technique that is basically, well, I think it's more or less illegal to even use it here. But, you know, we're talking about the United States here. One of the only countries in the world that will still take polygraph tests to court and use them as actual solid evidence. The rest of the world doesn't trust polygraphs. They are considered, but they're not actually solid evidence of jack shit. Because most spy agencies, and it's not too hard for average civilians, to be trained how to basically get past polygraph tests. In fact, proper spies are actually trained to game the polygraph test. So if they're being questioned by an intelligence agency, not only can they cover up what they need to cover up, they can actually sort of impress false answers to lead this intelligence agency in the wrong direction deliberately. So it's quite easy to screw with those. It was explained to me in psychology class how they screw with them and how I could if I really wanted to. But I don't think anybody's going to be giving me a polygraph test anytime soon. Now, with this stuff that's gone on with Christine Ford, it's, as I said, it's a technique that was really only used in the 1980s, and it's a very dangerous technique because it's only a step or two away from the Manchurian Candidate style shit. It's essentially implanted memories. Now, what they do, it's a screwed up method of trying to release repressed memories. Just like sometimes you can feel you got a big burp building up inside you, and you may suck down a bit of air to try and, you know, get it to connect to that big heap of wind in your stomach so that you can then burp it out. Just the same way as, you know, like there's a balloon full of water. The water is the repressed memories, but the balloon needs a bit of a nudge before it'll burst and let go, just as sometimes you swallow air to, you know, release the main burp that's inside you. It's the same sort of a thing. So what they do is, or what they used to do before it became a really, really, you know, considered a dodgy practice elsewhere in the world and no longer used and, you know, considered more or less, you know, illegal. Maybe not illegal, but just outright dangerous and likely to give you bullshit results. Just the same way as torturing people to get answers, and they'll just end up telling you the answers you want to fucking hear, and then you get, you know, wrong results. What they do is, in an attempt to release these so-called repressed memories that may be in there or may not be in there, they implant a memory. You basically get hypnotized and they place a memory in your mind, and that can then sometimes cause the repressed memories to be released. But the only thing is that sometimes there aren't any repressed memories. Now, what happens is you then create bullshit memories with these ones that have been implanted under hypnosis. And basically, there's a girl who was here in Australia, and this is going back, probably more than 10 years ago, and she was having depression or something, so they went to a shrink, and the shrink decided, maybe there's repressed memories. Maybe she was raped by her father. So she basically hypnotized her and implanted memories of her father molesting her, which did not lead to the release of any repressed memories because those memories didn't exist. What it did do, though, is fuck the girl up even worse, and she could never look her father in the face ever again. The family then went on to sue the psychologist, and it ended up on TV with questions whether the psychologist should be deregistered altogether, and how, in fact, this guy was still using this method when it had been shown to be such a dangerous method so many years ago that nobody in this country practicing psychology was still using that method. However, in the United States of weird things, this is exactly the shit they've tried on Christine Ford to then, have a little testimony that things happened to her previously that may not have happened to her because it was very hard to corroborate the rest of the evidence in the story. And, Anyway, I should further note on this that this has been used in regards to falsely implanting memories of alien abductions. Now, they tried this same technique on average people who had never had any experience with aliens or UFOs or anything like that. Never had any trouble with the little green man or the Garashore or anyone else appearing in a craft. And they basically hypnotized them, and they implanted memories that ran along the lines of a very simple abduction. You're there, the craft comes down, you get taken on board, they give you a basic medical examination and no anal probe or anything, and then, you are taken off the craft and you're released and the craft flies away. Just some really generic style stuff that they put there as an implanted memory under hypnosis. Then when the people come out from hypnosis, they said to them, "So, I believe you've been abducted by aliens. Tell us your experience in great detail. If you can remember the detail, tell us the details of it." Holy smoke. They said the response was essentially verbal diarrhea. They went on for like 3.5 hours solid without missing a beat, more or less, just almost continuously for a few hours, going into great details of, the trim on the door of the UFO and the this and the that and all these little minor itsy-bitsy details about this abduction, none of which had been implanted in them. They just had a very basic rundown, a very generic standard abduction by aliens idea implanted as an implanted memory under hypnosis, put in them and hypnotized into them, and the long story short was that every single one of these people come out with very detailed accounts, and every single one of these people had completely different versions, but they're all very highly detailed, and they would run at the mouth for 2.5 to 3.5 hours, and it was all bullshit. It was implanted memories that were very generic implanted memories. Yet, you know, that's the same sort of shit that Christine Ford has been through. And then, of course, you know, you get to the polygraph, and I've just gone and explained all that. But a lot of this polygraph stuff, it's just, you know, that's easily enough manipulated. But anyway, I just sort of explain implanted memories and, you know, how here you are trying to frickin' still run shit in your country with ideas that have been recognised around the world as being dangerous, and things like polygraph, which are no longer taken seriously by anyone else except the United States.